Hello everybody, and it is the day to share lovely Thomas's story.
Yeah, we've been waiting to get to that point where we're confident enough that we can share his story, because he was in such a fragile place. He was very, very poorly, but as you're going to see as the video unfolds, yeah, those little steps in the right direction. And yeah, we're not out of the woods yet, but we really hope, as I say, we've reached that place where we're confident to share his story. And it's really, really heartwarming, and it just goes to show what a lot of love and care can do. It's just been, the transformation in these even first few weeks has been, yeah, awesome. I just can't believe how much he's come on, and he's got that twinkle back in his eye, and definitely got a bit of vibrancy about him, hasn't he?
He certainly has, and he's on right now, as you can see, like his fifth lunch or something. He eats an awful lot of food, my goodness me. So Thomas, what you're going to see, and we're going to work our way through the video where we're going to keep coming back to where we are now and sort of talk you through each day, because this is sort of nearly 3 weeks of filming, all going to be put together for you to obviously see the story. And the first bit you're going to see is us going to pick him up. You're not going to see where we pick him up from, because obviously we don't like to show that. But we're going to go, you'll see him getting on the horse box, you'll see him coming home. And then we had a very important job, and that was to wash him very, very quickly, because he had all sorts of underlying issues, including something called a collapsed crest, which you're going to see further on in the video. And it took quite a lot of washing, didn't it? And minding our feet, because he has the biggest feet you've ever seen in your life.
They're like dinner plates. They are huge.
They need cutting badly, but unfortunately that's sort of later on the list of things to do. So when he walks, he dishes out. So it's quite difficult to keep out of the way. Still toe taps all round.
Exactly, and when he's weak, he's all a bit, feet and legs everywhere, but he's getting much more together every day. So yeah, enjoy the story, and as Jenny said, we'll keep coming back, and it'll all make sense in the end.
Hopefully.
Let's do it.
See you soon. So we're now at the next stage, and what you've just seen is Thomas, sadly and shockingly, was infested with maggots, mites and lice, and that took quite a lot of dealing with.
Deep cleansing.
Yeah.
But also, we were just saying, he's an Ardennes, that's his breed, and you can see he's a real powerhouse. He's very, very short. He's got that lovely head, he's got a short neck, very, very strong and stocky, and he's got those lovely feathers, he's got his long mane, and he's got all the attributes of a very fine figure, but he's like a big puppy. He's got all that loose skin, and the reason for that is he's about a quarter of the weight that he should be. So when he's healthy, you know, he's that much malnourished, he's that, you know, he needs to fill back into himself, and you can see that droop in his neck, and as Jenny said, that's to do with his crest.
Yeah, so that's called a collapsed crest, and later on in the video you're going to actually see us shave the hair off. Well, in fact, that's the next part. And yes, exactly what that looks like, and what that caused its own problems, because if you imagine he had, you know, I'd say it's probably in its total about 3 inches collapsed over, which has caused like a cavity between his neck and the collapsed part, and underneath that's where all of those maggots and the flies decided to live, and it sweats.
Yeah.
And with all the mane, he couldn't.
It's like like a dough consistency. So if you imagine that dough when you've been kneading the dough, it's like having a long
put you off making bread, wouldn't it?
like a long baguette which has gone a bit floppy, and that's what kind of has fallen over, and that
I'm never going to look at a baguette the same again.
It could be to do with the ligaments. We're hoping that as he gets stronger and he starts to fill out, that it's righting, and it does look in the background as though
it's definitely. It seems to be getting smaller, which makes me think it's slightly lifting.
The
so
slack is being taken up day by day. We've just got to see where it all goes. But yeah, as Jenny said, the next thing you're going to see, we need to get in. We need to treat all those areas, and because he's got those lovely long, they're called feathers, those long pieces of hair that surround all his legs, especially his lower legs, we need to shave that off as well, because we need to get in and be able to really treat him and be able to see what we've got. And also, bless him, all his skin's kind of ended up lower down in his
ankles.
leg, so he's got a lot of quite
wobbly bits.
Wobbly bits.
He should be proud of them, though. We've all got wobbly bits.
They're they're lovely wobbly bits. So the next thing you're going to see is a bit more of really getting stuck in and getting as where we need to get to give him the best chance.
See you in a minute. So we're back again. We've had to move position now because it was getting very hot up there. Here it is. This is the offending hair, and it's so heavy. So if you can imagine what you've seen already, and then you had this hanging on the side, and also, as you saw when Nick took it off, the maggots were very deep, so we couldn't have got them off and kept the mane. So something had to go to get rid of the maggots, and it was the mane. And then it was moving on to the legs, which were
Interesting.
and very large.
Yeah, as we said before, everything's kind of gone a little bit south. But we're thinking, as we said before, as his condition improves, so will his skin, and he's going to gain weight. So that, as we said, take up a little bit of the slack. And it was tricky because he had obviously very tender legs, and he had that very long hair, and they're very bumpy because of said slack skin. But he was really, really good. We did a bit, and then we gave him a breather, put him back in his stable, did a little bit more. So we just piecemealed it. There were those early days, you know, obviously of building the trust and just keeping him. We had to try and keep everything as mellow as possible for obvious reasons. And so it's far easier. He's not the sort of horse that, no, you don't want to be wrestling with any horses, but he is a very strong boy, and he's also very new to this environment, and he's been through an awful lot. So just little bits, and we pieced it all together, and we managed to get them all done. It looks so much better, but more importantly, we could give him that treatment that he so needed, and now they're starting to look really good.
They are. So just after that, the vet came, and you're going to see in the next video the amount of medication he's been on and bits and pieces that we've been doing with him, obviously just to maintain him as he is, because the other big problem is, very big problem, are feet. And the farrier did come, didn't he? And he tried, but Thomas, unfortunately, he's too weak and he just couldn't hold himself up. So that really is a very last job once he's a lot stronger. And
yeah, and also, again, the stress.
because you can't hold, I mean, the farrier couldn't hold him. So.
And that stress element as well. You know, we just don't want to stress him out. We're just trying to keep everything, as we said, as cool and calm as possible. Even though he's thinking he's gone back to being 4 or 5 years old, he's feeling a lot better. So we're hoping that everything's working as it should. But again, yeah, it was a few days ago, and when the farrier came, yeah, we tried, but he was just a little bit, as Jenny said, a bit weak and a bit unsure. So we're going to put that down as the next job that we need to attend to, and then it's yeah, just on with his recovery.
Yes, and since then we have had the vet results. He's obviously anemic, which goes without saying. The biggest worry was his heart, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he obviously had worms and all others, the normal stuff. You, as Jenny said, you get these very common. You know, it's quite common to have the same problems with the horses when they're malnourished, when they've not been regularly wormed and looked after, and all the other bits. It kind of just goes in stages. And Thomas, on every count, was yeah, pretty bad compared to what we've seen before. And I know some of you were shocked because you said when you saw Grace and Charlotte and how terrible Grace was, but you know, she had a good heart, and that's one of the things with a very big horse. It is a concern.
Yeah. So it is now on with the next bit of the video. So enjoy. See you soon.
See you then.
we are back in the current day, and what a whirlwind it has been.
It has. It's been very intensive, but so worth it. And of course, made easier by all your very, very generous donations. Your words, just the words of support, have meant so much. And I know Jenny's kept everyone updated on the community, which has really helped. It's just amazing how big the community is. And on that note, we piloted an Adopt Me scheme with the patrons, and it was really, really well received. And we wanted to iron out any issues. And with the help of them, we think we've got it sussed. So there's an adoption if you're interested.
Yeah, so I'm going to put the link in the description. It's going to be Thomas's Patreon, so it's going to be Adopt Thomas, and there'll be more footage and just some information of him on there. But it's a way to donate monthly towards him and, you know, help us and help him keep that rather large belly full.
His ever-growing needs.
Yes,
so,
he eats as much as 2 horses would in one day. So, well, no, in 2 days, I think. Yeah, he's quite
a week.
Quite a
He's piling on the
eater.
pounds though, which is fantastic. And yeah, as we said, it's just been lovely. And we have been a bit absent, but we've been so absorbed with what we're doing, you know, getting him right, and obviously the normal day-to-day stuff. And when you have a horse like him who's very intensive, and yeah, it's been, you know, it's touch and go, as you've seen. So it's looking good.
But we do hope his story was okay for you guys to watch, and we do hope his story, you know, spreads that awareness and helps in the future what we're doing, because you know, it's horses like Thomas that are making such a massive difference, and to be able to share his story and do what we've done, and for you guys to be on board is, yeah, truly remarkable that forgotten old boy has done this. Just like the donkeys, you know, it's just one speechless.
Yeah,
you know,
it
really
is.
is.
It's
really
incredible, but every little click, every like, every share, as we always said, is getting closer to making that change for the future of the horses, and we're going to be able to do that. So we just need to, as we've always said, grow this community, grow this lovely family we have from all over the world, and the future's looking really bright.
So the last bit of the video is Thomas at the present day and seeing the family, and oh, look at that little moment. You're going to love it.
It's really, really good. Take care, stay magical, and we'll see you very soon.
Bye.